Thank you very much. Currently, we have we do not have guests in the room, we have one guest online. Jim, if you'd like to say something, feel free to mention. Okay, we will continue moving on. We had the minutes from our last meeting on May 14th distributed. I'll take a motion for approval.
Yes, I did forward a change to Jennifer,
Yes.
that Emily is
Not?
not the chair.
Yeah, me too.
We were,
You weren't here.
Did you get the job?
Yeah.
He made a joke and I didn't get it. Oh, there's a raised hand here, Bruce.
yeah,
Hi, can you hear me?
just barely. We need to turn up the volume on our side. Or your side. Okay, try it again.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I just had a quick comment on the last meeting. You talked about, Bruce, that the traffic count was in progress.
Yes,
Okay, so they had one counter out throughout the entire area, and it was placed between Enterprise and the ONG place. So it was not counting any traffic leaving ONG, the next plaza with the boat business, the Ocean Performance Space, Eric's Towing, Highway, the side road. It counted nothing going up any of those areas. So I'm not sure what exactly it was counting.
okay. Let me, I'll raise that with the engineers and find out.
Okay,
Good, thank you for letting me know.
no problem. Thank you.
Yep.
So moved. So minutes?
Minutes are moved. Is there a second? There is a second. Is,
As amended?
As amended.
and do you want to just state publicly what the, or,
Yeah, in section paragraph 5. It should just read, Mr. McCracken noted that, then go right to the second line. The group had decided to make a map and start identifying structures.
all right. Any other changes, additions, subtractions?
As so modified, I'll move with it again.
Okay, second again. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect, thank you very much.
It was a good joke.
There you go.
Well, Emily wasn't here. That's the way it usually goes.
Now she's here, so we're gonna nominate her as chairman for life. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the subgroup updates and soil testing is first.
Okay, so we sent back, I feel like we're going back and forth with Jacobson, but we sent comments back to Jacobson. We're waiting to hear from them. If I don't hear from them, say like Tuesday next week, I'll just give Josh a call. See if we can work through it.
Okay, so we are in process.
Yes,
But it's kind of the finish line. I mean, there's not much.
yeah.
No, I think we're ready for them to write up a
The
contract.
scope is like this, so.
Yeah, otherwise, Doug's gonna go in there and just raise hell.
Right, exactly. We don't want that. All right, moving on to business and property owner outreach. Haven't done anything since our last meeting. I think the way in which I've been envisioning this is we do kind of we had the in-person meeting. 2 months later, have some kind of notification sent out just to let people know what's going on. 2 months after that, another in-person meeting and do it that way. So month of June is a time for getting a message out to them. So I'll draft that over the next couple of weeks. We can review it at our next meeting, and if we are happy with it, we will send that out and just keep the information going. Tracy, you okay with that?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. All right, on the streetscape, we're almost in the same place that the soils analysis is, we're a little bit ahead in the sense of we do have Jacobson under contract. They are moving, as you just heard from the public comment. And they raised an issue with me late this afternoon that I thought I would share with you. They were out today thinking about the sidewalk on the north side. And recognize that because there's almost no chance of development in the wetlands here, right at the, where 150 on the north side, 154 and 1. They're really questioning whether or not we even want a sidewalk there, or whether we want the sidewalk to, basically come from Fine Fiddle and end at about either J Court or a little bit past J Court, and have a crosswalk at that point to the multimodal path. And then that's how one would get up to 154. And there's a financial reason for it, but also, as you have probably noticed, there is along there's also a fairly steep grade off of, so trying to kind of arrange the road in order to be able to accommodate the sidewalk could well be, more difficult. So anyway, that's the kind of analysis that they're doing at this stage of the game, and are, looking to come back to us maybe by the end of June, with some, draft information. But does anybody have, comment, question about just stopping the north side sidewalk at this point?
Do they think DOT will let us do a mid-block crossing?
We'll ask.
Okay.
And
If so, I think it's a finding for these.
yeah, and I didn't know whether or not makes it more complicated, but we've been talking about having some kind of, welcome the Mariners Way as part of this. And I don't know whether that's too far in the Mariners Way to be able to have, kind of that center island that allows for it. I thought I would just raise it with them and see how that might work out. They're still looking to do something a little bit back from the 154 intersection to allow for any of the big trucks turning in, but that's where they're working at this point.
Hey, Bruce.
Yep.
I missed Casey's question. What was
Casey's- Casey's question is whether the Department of Transportation would allow for a mid, kind of a middle of a crosswalk in the middle of nowhere, without any other street. I mean, it might have to be a J Court or something like that, so that there's a street orientation for the crosswalk itself.
Okay, so my question would just be, would it be just a crosswalk, or would it be one where they could push a button and get a signal? Because I would not trust it if there weren't an actual
That's why, that's why I asked, because from an engineering standpoint, like from a traffic engineering standpoint, usually I'm not a traffic engineer, but a lot of times there's a preference not to have mid-block crossings because drivers don't expect it. So like, if somebody suddenly, walks out into the road, they think they're safe because there's a crosswalk, the driver doesn't expect it, especially with the kind of the speeds people go, at least now.
right. So
yeah.
you'd have to have a crosswalk. In my opinion, if you put it there, you'd have to have a crosswalk that actually stopped traffic to truly be safe. Or at the very least, it had to be flashing,
There's also a lot of curb cuts there, so. I mean, if I'm in a business there pulling out, I often find I'm pulling out, somebody else is pulling out right next to me. And then if you put a pedestrian in there, it's getting pretty complex.
You're talking about in this area?
Yes.
Okay.
I like what you said, Bruce, if, if you had your center island, if the crosswalk lined up to that, so I understand what they're saying about the wetlands, but can they fill in the edge and make a sidewalk?
All the way up here, you mean?
Yeah, go up to the island.
We can ask, we can see what the, you know,
It's actually an interesting question, because and when you first said that, I'm thinking, we still have this. The necessity and ability to use, the bridge over the train track and cantilever. So that we have, right, so
Bridge.
where's the best way for that to connect? So that you're now heading east, that's I think another part of the question, that's why I think these engineers, it's a great question to ask. Because it could be, if you stay on the north side there, it's like you're walking to nowhere. When you really wanna come down at some point.
right, so, the idea, at least right now, is that the state owns this land on the west side of the current bridge. They were talking about the possibility of, doing the cantilever on that side that then brings you in and then, right across the street from Mystic Market and then picking up the multimodal trail there. So you'd stay on the south side there. You wouldn't need the north side, sidewalk at that point.
And then you end up, right, then you had that issue with crossing.
Right. So then the question is, so,
Right, and I think that, like Jacobson said, I think that could tie into like where that little center island goes, because it's. We have the center island lined up with the crosswalk, at least that kind of like slows people down at that point and attracts some attention to like. That might help if we can figure out a spot where that all lines up well. And there's still enough width for the trucks and everything.
yeah, I wonder whether maybe there's a way.
Halfway down,
Yeah, and, this is where that, the road to nowhere comes out right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I will, I'll raise these issues with them. But anyway, the hope is that they are gathering all the information that they need and will be ready to sit down with some preliminary analysis with us maybe by the end of June, so. Anything else on streetscape people have?
So there's no more thought to when you're at the top of the bridge, heading from CVS to its Mystic Market, the top of the bridge, shooting off to the right. Like a ramp, a pedestrian ramp out into Mariner's Way.
There's no, I have to say that right now. There is absolutely nothing that has any material to it at this point. I mean, it's.
Everything's up in the air.
It's all conjure.
You know
all
what
I'm
I'm
saying-
saying, right?
Yeah, you're thinking about maybe shooting down from the east side. Right?
Yeah, from the top of the bridge, go diagonal to Boston Post Road East, like through that Siam type property by the medical products, like a pedestrian ramp.
I think the challenge is like what the state owns versus what Amtrak owns.
Versus what's privately owned,
Right,
Right,
Right.
and also what they can.
Oh, yeah, it's not easy.
right. And I think
It's just a more
Amtrak-
direct path
Yeah.
to Mariner's Way.
Yeah, but I think Amtrak is the most difficult of all to do anything with.
Yeah, I see this would be past the train tracks. It would be more of a state private property issue.
But you have to
Yeah.
get over the bridge still.
Well, you just barely get on, you're on the top of the bridge, you get the train tracks underneath, and then you have a ramp to the right, diagonal to the road, cutting over to Mariner's Way.
Yeah.
How'd you get up to the top of the bridge?
Right, like the sidewalk over the.
Yeah, then you'd have to walk up, the sidewalks on the train side. Yeah, it's clunky.
Yeah.
It's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyway, I think that's getting over the tracks that's gonna be a big deal. How and when we're able to figure it out. I think the good news is DOT at least said they'd like to try to figure it out with us, so that's good. Now we just have to, see if we can work with them, and make sure we don't interfere with, Amtrak. And just so you know, we have had, the conversations about the, North Yard, project, and they're putting sidewalks in, and so trying to figure out whether there's a way in which we can coordinate our work with their work. And the people who are working on North Yard also own, Ragged Rock Arena here, or Marina. So if we can get a sidewalk just along here, that would be great, and that would join up, because we go right down to Ragged Rock with, the TIF district. So, all TBD, but I think, it could come together if we can just keep trying to coordinate. Okay. Moving on, we'll go to design standards. And we'll look to the chairman.
Yeah. I'm gonna hand it back to Casey. Okay, so thank you to everyone who sent slides. I am going to share my screen.
Looks great.
Yeah. To try something else. I was telling Bruce, I tried to develop a way for us to do a little sort of survey from phones, if people have their cell phones. Using the software that was available to me, so it's a little bit clunky the way I ended up doing it, and we don't have to do it for every single slide because there are a lot of slides. But I thought it might be useful to do it for some of them at least. We could also just do like a show of hands, but I think sometimes it's helpful if you just kind of have to like not see how anybody else reacts, and like just put in your own thought and then see what it is. And I think what we should do is, if people want to have discussion about a particular slide, that's fine, but my sort of plan on this was, we'll go through the slides. It's really, the reason I didn't share it ahead of time, I sort of talked to Doug and Emily about this, but is part of the idea here is to have sort of like not a knee-jerk reaction, but sort of like an immediate, like a visceral reaction. Like, yes, this is what I'm picturing. No, this is not what I'm picturing. And then I think at the end, we can have some discussion about like what kind of, hopefully it will help everybody to get some ideas about, to help start to categorize, what am I looking for, what am I not looking for? The other thing I wanted to mention is, I think it's impossible to go through these without at least partially thinking about land uses, because there are some buildings that are obvious, like multifamily housing developments. There's some buildings that are mixed use retail. There's some buildings that are light industrial. So there are some buildings that are a combination therein. So I think that's okay, because I think that helps us to also start thinking about land uses and the interplay between them both. So I'm just gonna go through them. I'm not really gonna say much because I've already seen all of these many, many, many times. But I think if there's something in particular that comes up, I think it's appropriate and fine to have brief conversation about them and then kind of try to collect our thoughts at the end. And then also I think Doug always talks about the boulders, the rocks and the sand, right? Is that?
Rocks, pebbles,
Pebbles, sand, okay. So that's kind of this process too. So we're kind of starting here and narrowing down. And then the next step from here in my mind is that we start fine tuning things. It gives us kind of a direction we want to go in, I think, and then we start fine tuning. So like Emily, I got most of your slides and thank you for so many. They're great. But I tried to make sure kind of every category and idea was covered. And then I think depending on what direction we go, we would like revisit all the ones that fall into a certain category kind of. Okay, so let's do this. If you have your cell phone, you can, if you know how to scan a QR code, which I only learned a couple of years ago.
Is,
So go ahead.
and Tracy join us?
She should be able to right from the screen. Or you can go to the URL there at glasspoint.app and you can put in the code.
Nope, I'm in.
All right.
It's still loading.
And just for the record, sorry I wasn't there. I don't know if Jennifer told you what's going on, but after an hour and 3 minutes, Comcast Business just hung up on me. So
Is anybody else not loading?
I'm in.
I'm not loading.
I'm in.
So far I have two. I have Doug in, me, Tracy's in.
Maybe you should make sure to watch them. Sure. Better change it. Yeah, we can scan.
Like I said, we're not gonna do this on every single one, but just to give us some opportunity to. All right, I have Bruce.
that page.
just frustrating.
One night I forgot to bring my glasses.
I have Emily. And Jennifer. Pressure's on Chris. Just kidding. I know.
Trade there.
Are you having trouble having yours load up, Chris?
You know I'm having trouble.
Because when I logged into our Wi-Fi here, then it loaded, it wouldn't load before.
Okay. So here I'm going right now. Let's try it, look.
I think that's.
Under a drum roll.
Mhm.
All right. And so the idea here also is to, think about whether you like this or envision this in Mariner's Way, because there might be something that you see where it's like, I really like that, but it's not necessarily what I envisioned for Mariner's Way.
Okay.
And I did include typically I think an other option so that it's like, you kind of want to say yes and you kind of want to say no, and you really can't decide. Okay, and I did 3 categories. The first is focused primarily on the buildings themselves. The second is sort of the interplay with the buildings and the lots. And the third is like larger scale developments.
So when you show us a picture,
Yes.
what are we then supposed to do?
So what will happen is. Get. Yes, no, you should get on your phone. It should show the picture.
Yes, no, we're unsure,
And it
okay.
should show yes, no, or unsure. You should get to answer the question. But before I do that, I'm gonna let you look at the picture.
Yeah,
3157.
All right, we're gonna start this again. Okay, so first picture. I'm not gonna say much. Yes, no.
Oh, wait, sorry. I was looking at my phone instead of that. But then, can we go back real quick? It's too bad that the little thing covers up.
And you have to click
Yeah.
submit after you click
Okay, thank
after
you.
you make your choice or it won't register.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, here we go.
okay. Do we get automatic results or do we not know everybody's result?
It will show the results, but it won't show who said what.
Yeah.
So Gary,
That's
Gary's
everybody,
got
right?
erased.
Okay. Okay, next one. Let me see. So fast. Sorry, I can slow down.
Well, you don't get to see the picture.
You know what we can do?
I just think the encouragement.
I
is very
lost.
helpful.
I lost
The
the,
encouragement is very helpful. Let me know that I've done a nice job.
Casey, can I scan the, Q code again?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
for some reason it closed out. You don't have a hard copy or anything, so you don't have to
Oh,
change.
the Q code, with the QR code?
Yeah, the
No,
QR.
but if that's easy enough to. Can pop that up anytime.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
The reason I looked at it before is because the message popped up with Goodwin's, youth kids.
Yeah.
Early dismissal, for the heat.
All right.
So I see the slide, but I can't vote.
Oh, I turned off the voting in
Okay,
order to.
that's fine.
Okay, so, take a look at that. You have some. Okay, again. Should we do this one? We'll do this one more time. Then we'll
Revote.
get the hang of things.
Okay.
I am going to do this so that it's not so much.
So do we have to vote again or if we already voted?
Yes, please.
Okay. I've never used this before.
There's another way to do it that's a little less clunky, but.
Oh, I don't think it's kind of neat.
Alright, close submission. So we got 2 yeses, 3 nos, and an unsure. I'm gonna save the ones that we do polls on so we can go back and visit them. Alright, so this is a different type of industrial. Sometimes I grouped them, so it's yes or no for the whole thing. You could put unsure if you had mixed feelings about them. Different things.
So you got 2 structures there, kind of.
Yeah, so they're sort of architecturally, have sort of architectural similarities. I mean, Emily might disagree with me.
No,
It's
I
much
do
better than
agree
me.
with you.
But
I'm trying to
so
remember if I'm the one who made these or not.
sometimes I tried to group them, yes, sometimes I tried to group them just because we had so many.
Looks like up in Chester. River.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I agree.
Mine,
Oh, that marina with a
Yeah.
restaurant.
The restaurant, yeah.
I'm frozen.
Oh, I did get a response. All right, so we got 5 yeses for this and 1 unsure. Interesting. Go.
Hmm. I'm not following. My picture is still the second picture and I'm not getting another poll.
Let's see. Still no?
Yeah. I'll close up. Back in.
Have we got
We
a
have 6.
response? two and two.
Ooh,
Then all the way across.
divided group.
Casey, can you put up the QR again?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pick up.
Alright. Barcode. Feel free to say anything if you want to say anything about them as we go. Bruce, are you?
Yep, I'm in, thanks.
All right. So I'm gonna show these few. Now, I should say also, these aren't all necessarily, they're randomized on purpose. And sometimes there are similar ones, one after the other on purpose, but maybe similar with some notable differences. So, we'll vote on this one. This is one green nose, one unshown. All right, so here's housing, obviously. You will see some of these are from around the state, particularly shoreline towns. Some of these are from some of our studies. And some are not from anywhere around here. And there are a few from in town too. So here's, well, majority sections. I'm gonna write this one.
I just wanted to jump in here for a second. This is something that, I've been thinking of, and I had slides in here. This kind of goes back to something that Bruce is constantly mentioning, which I think is right, which is if you started with some height and you moved your way down, this could satisfy two things. One, it could do that. But also thinking about us having a destination associated with Mariners. This as a retail, commercial and housing could end up being that, forget my soccer field idea. But this could be that kind of a base. So I'm interested in that type of development.
Mhm.
Just to set some expectations here. Would that be considered a 5-story building? I mean, we would
Yes.
definitely not get a 5-story building
Yeah.
here, but
That's tall for.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I should say, we have 4-story, zoning's approved 4 stories. I mean, for 830G type developments, but we were able to do that. So I mean, yeah, I think 5 is pushing it, but
just for the fire safety.
well, my understanding is that they are able to, yeah, that they got a bigger truck. Cause I raised that question for the 4-story building. And they said that they were able to address it.
And just, I think, when the information that I submitted coming out of, the Newington, center work, there was a couple of 4 and, I think maybe 4 stories was the highest. But I just mentally took the top floor off, and just saying.
idea,
Right, if you had that
Decapitated.
concept and it was only 3 floors, how does it work for you? And I agree, I think it does, that's the kind of thing that would be nice.
Yeah, and it's interesting also because if you think about what I call the central block, it picks up with those shots of Madison where you have sidewalk development going on both sides and development in the back. Which you don't see from the main street.
Right.
And you are sharing parking, you do all the things that you want to do. As far as smart development. So that's,
And I will say, like, point out here, so you have 5 stories. In this case, even the 5th story is what I would consider a full story, even though it does have a lot of nice treatments. You can make it so that you have 3 full stories, and then the 4th story is a full story from a usability standpoint, but doesn't necessarily aesthetically appear as a 4th story. It can, depending on the way you do the roof lines and things like that, it can look more like a half story or like a roofed story. You can do extra treatments to address some of the height too.
and if you ended up having to sprinkle the entire building, including units.
Right.
It changes, you know, you're not worried about a truck.
Right.
Cause it's
Right.
gonna happen fast, your sprinkler's gonna work faster.
It almost looks like there's a 6-story there on the right, you know.
Yeah, I know, right here.
Penthouse, yeah,
Yeah, so there's definitely like some,
something
yeah,
going on.
like Bruce said, if you imagine you take at least 1 out, maybe 2. I also, I'll talk. Alright, so we have 2 yeses, 3 no's, and then sure.
Oh, I didn't get the.
Have you opened the poll in this?
Yes.
I didn't get it either.
Sometimes if you just hit the refresh at the bottom, it'll work.
Yes.
And it should show you the picture on your phones, right? Yeah.
Yep, okay, hang on. We're almost-
Alright. Okay. Let's go through, I do want to pull this one because I think this is an interesting one.
Hmm. So what's that thing over on the right?
Yeah, so it's sort of a, you know, a treatment of some sort that they provided to make the building look presumably more interesting. Presumably, this is either like business and entryway type situation.
It's very
Okay.
similar to the Science Center in Hartford.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Not unlike the treatment that they did at the Seaport.
yeah, that's.
Hmm.
We have 7 responses.
Vote early and often.
Like, we're a tough group, but please.
I know. We can put it like that.
This one, I threw some in there that I think are probably less desirable from an architectural standpoint, but we may or may not still find such one in that area.
Like,
Is
I
there-
would see that like as one of the behind buildings that you don't see from the road potentially. I don't know, but.
I see it as like what's already there.
You're right.
So like,
Yeah,
if
I
we want
agree.
that, why do we have
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
Or-
apparently, we all agreed on that one, we all
Yeah.
said.
Consensus, finally.
Are there 7 of us? Should I have been waiting for 7 of us?
We're getting close enough.
There are 7
Yeah.
cars.
We'll do the teams. Sorry to make you guys do so many, but I think it's important from a, then we can go back and kind of look at. Yes, this word, I got a copy. All right, let's get through a few more. Oh, this one I also do wanna do, so I'll say this about this one, so this is the Connecticut Food Bank, it's in Wallingford. And it's a humongous building in, one of the, research and development parks in Wallingford. I was working there when it was built. But it's a big building, it's pretty well designed, it's close to the highway, but it's, it's a big building. I think one thing to think about in talking about building height is regardless of the type of use, I think a lot of the challenge with, at least in some of the research I've been doing or some of the reading I've been doing with industrial and light industrial existing buildings is that they don't have the height that a lot of the company, that like the technology companies and things need and want nowadays. So, some of these storage warehouses or contractors warehouses, contractor units, they need some height, but not this type of height. But when you start getting into some of like the big players, if we're talking about like your major like Amazon facilities or even tech facilities, a lot of them nowadays want more. So just something to think about.
I'd like to make a comment on
Yeah.
that, because when we talked about height on the other one, the 5-story or the 6-story, it's like we assume, sort of like implied from what our experience, that was a multi-use building that had different things going on each floor, but in theory, you could have a building look like that and have the space, have it be used this way.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I feel like my head is mostly in terms of.
Yeah.
Like the outside and the inside.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to that conversation we've had about like, does it matter that much? It does
Right.
matter, I think, how much does it matter what's inside and what's outside and like, what's that interplay?
Yeah, because I feel like if that side of that building was that other photo,
Right. And I
it'd
think,
be like a yes for me.
I think that also goes back to what Chris was saying is whether or not we envision this as a destination or an enhancement of sort of the existing zoning that's there now or some combination. All right, so yeses to no's. I think there's some other housing ones. I'm gonna skip through some of these unless stop me if you want to say anything about anything. How about we just do a quick like yes or no show of hands for a few of these? What do we think of these?
It's a no for me.
Yeah, I think to me, they're almost there, but we could do better.
Yeah,
The one on the left better, certainly better than the one on the right.
Yeah, that looks like the industrial park now.
Yeah.
One on the left.
Or if you put bars in the window.
You like the one on the right better, Bruce?
No.
You like the one on the left better?
It just seems like, cause if I look at both of those, it would seem we could do those right now, if we wanted.
Right.
And
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback. They're good businesses, but all these oil change places on Boston
Yeah.
Post towards
Yeah.
the big Y, people are asking why there's so many.
So
They're legitimate businesses, but
and I think one of the things is bay doors. So we can have bay doors have to be on the sides and the rears of buildings or not be visible from the road. And you can still provide a heck of a lot of bay doors that way.
yeah, you had a previous slide that had two that were both a lot of bay doors, but one was glass and the
Yeah.
other was not.
Yeah.
And I went with my overall, but if they were separate slides, I would have given opposite answers, because I kind of prefer the glass, the
Bay.
all glass bay door. Yeah, which I know is more expensive.
Well, and I
But I
think,
mean, maybe if we were talking about certain sides of the building, certain types are allowed or something like that, I could see that being a distinction.
and I think that's you could speak more to this than I can, Emily, but I think that's a pretty common opinion in the sense of like more glass is better.
On a certain type of
People like
building.
windows.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah,
probably we don't want like an all glass building because that's not really the vibe
right,
in Old City, but.
But if you're talking about that high-tech development, or,
Right.
yeah,
that's what they're gonna want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Not gonna be. They won't spread the expense, I mean.
right, yes. What about this one?
I don't like it, but the major reason I don't like it is, I don't like one story. I think that we have kind of compact space, and every time we see one story, we're not utilizing the space as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, I would agree, especially with what we're trying to do on Main Street.
Mhm, mhm,
All the effort going on Main Street, why would we
right,
put one story building? See, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the brick apartments over by Stop and Shop look good, but I don't see brick as an architectural detail in Mariners Way.
interesting.
Interesting.
Wasn't
Just-
really- I kind of looked at a lot of
Yeah.
brick, I don't know why, it was
Look at this next, this has got your mix of finishes.
This one should look
familiar.
familiar. Let's do a vote on this one.
Why is that familiar?
It's the place. Right?
Yeah, I think this
It's
came
worth
from one
name.
of the studies.
Okay,
I believe this is the crossings, or it's very similar if it's not.
I have trouble with the ones that are kind of in this category. Like, I think we've seen a few that are similar to that, that
Yeah.
are,
Yeah, the density there.
there's certain things I like very much, and then there's certain things I don't like at all about that type in particular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What do you, such as?
okay, so I like the height, I like the density, I like a street wall. But like, I don't, oh shoot, I don't love the finishes. I like architecturally, I don't like the buildings, but I like, maybe I more like the master plan a little bit,
Okay.
you know?
it seems like, again, a lot of times if you use, what I like about it is. You know, it looks like, what I like about it is. I know it's there, I know what's going on in that.
Mm.
And, you know, as far as units, but I don't need to go to that level of detail to pretend that that's housing.
Right.
Which is what I'm doing with, you know, the roof lines and I'm introducing.
So you
know,
think there's
the-
too much going on?
Oh, I would agree. You don't.
No,
need-
I don't agree.
Oh, well, I'm thinking that let's throw in the two little dormers, then let's go in with a big dormer with this, you know, with the brick. To me, that's extra. You don't need, that's a little too much
Yes.
lipstick. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess I can see that there's sort of like, even like, you said you thought there was like three types of things that you were putting into, like, they fell into three categories. Did you?
Yeah.
So, but I kind of am at least seeing these two categories, like the sort of like warehouse aesthetic, and then the coastline steroids aesthetic or whatever. And yeah, like, so I could see it detailed with the warehouse aesthetic and it would be pretty cool. But that wasn't initially what I was thinking when I
Yeah.
was,
No, to me, there's too much going on.
yeah.
I think a lot of times towns require nowadays, you know,
Exactly.
the,
Oh,
all
yeah,
the
the
treatments so
articulation.
that you don't get a big flat ugly
Right.
wall. And right, sometimes it almost,
Right,
there's a
it's,
certain look it's taken on that's a very like current day
Yep.
yes.
development type. To address that, I think. Interesting. Oh, what about this? I think I.
So we've got Audi coming to town. That's nice.
What do we think? We wanna vote on this one?
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oops. Oops. Does anybody wanna say anything about it?
I was unsure, and the reason why I was unsure was I wasn't quite sure what was going on the right-hand side there.
I think the right hand side's more
It's-
interesting.
Yeah, what I could see, I didn't really like on the left-hand side and the block in front of me.
Yeah.
But the openness on the right-hand side looked kind of interesting to me, so I felt I needed more information.
It's like, I thought originally you're looking at, you know, stairwells and I said yes, because if I was doing industrial on our way to the middle of the 20 first century. We're going in that direction as opposed to,
The
Back if you want to
warehouse
slide- yeah.
type things.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
looked at it, it's not an old Saybrook vibe, it's very city,
Yeah,
almost like
it's very
Europe.
urban.
I don't know if this is parking back here.
Well,
I'm not sure. It kind of looks like it might be,
Yeah.
but, which is.
Yeah, cause it looks like outdoor staircases.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a back building.
Still a little house.
Hmm.
Mostly yeses.
I'm ready for some yeses. What do people think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, cause wait, is this another one we're voting on? in a
Oh,
sec, Or is that?
No, this is the last one.
no,
No, I think
they're
it's like
very,
very
they're
similar.
similar,
Yeah.
so I think we can.
There's the three of them.
What I liked about it, thinking realistically, is that when I was on ARB and we would get applications for like contractor warehouse type things that might end up in Mariners Way. Like the simplicity, like the idea of just having like this, like what you could imagine is actually a steel frame structure with bays that's kind of a simple form and still have a curb appeal. To me, that's kind of what this is doing, because yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm saying it, but I
It's
just, I can.
functional, but it has character.
Yeah, I can just see that it matches what I imagine is gonna go there. It matches the style of construction, like it, I can see that the style of construction that would be there is possible with something that looks like this.
Yeah, I looked at this, I looked at the left side, it looks like a shed. There's not a lot there, I mean, it's got the wood sliding doors where the next slide. You said they're kind of the same, but the next slide kind of jumped out at me as a little more, so that's a little more wow. Maybe because it has the height and more wood and, you know, the lighting and the signage and.
One thing I think to think about, we'll get shortly to this, is, also new buildings versus renovations and updates to existing buildings. So like maybe these are some interesting partway steps for buildings that get renovated or that are changing uses, like in existing warehousing type uses, where you can make them a little more interesting, for what they already are. I mean, also, I think this goes back to like, it depends on the use, the wineries and the breweries and stuff, they're really good at all this kind of stuff.
right,
That's sort of like industrial, retail, interesting.
Yeah, and those really, they lend to being a standalone building.
Yeah.
As opposed to back to, you know, which Bruce, as opposed to, let's put a retail and have it stand by itself and not do anything above it.
Right. What do we think about this?
I like all the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
kind
the
of
light.
interesting.
Okay, so that was it for the like, sort of regular buildings. Now, these are, I believe, most of these came from Emily, are conversions, so sort of back to, that's why I put those other ones at the end, so sort of back to the conversation we were just having where, we may not run into as much of this because we don't have a lot of big, like, old brick mill buildings and things like that, but, I think some of these are pretty interesting, so I think maybe we just do like a one-off vote on these first ones to cover this topic, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that, but what you're looking at there goes back to my central hall destination.
Yeah.
Place, ground floor retail.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Ooh, I really like
Wow.
that. So if we get some conversions.
Or you could build it new.
Yeah,
like,
You could, I think,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, and this one,
like,
was it new, was it not new, I don't know.
No, I had a
You
picture,
wouldn't be able to go that high maybe, but
Right,
there's a picture I sent in from Syracuse where they put a brand new building just like that.
yeah.
In the middle of nowhere to
Did you
basically, yeah,
Because I didn't get any
You-
from, I
no.
got the blue back ones, but they didn't come through, so I put in other blue back
Okay.
ones.
the page, and I'll send it to you, but it's just like
Okay.
that. And it's
Okay.
very similar to, and it's designed to be this central block
Yeah,
and then things are coming in around it.
okay.
yeah, that one on the right, I think, was in Nashville.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say.
And, and you had a main street and then just a side street, one block jog.
Yep.
And that's how that whole jog was. And it was very well done. It didn't match the rest of Main Street at all, but it was a cool one-off.
And was that housing up above, do you know?
I don't know. I would have, if I had to guess, I would say it was like second floor was stores and restaurants and above that probably offices.
Yeah, looks like.
And I think, you don't see brick so much anymore, but there are certainly plenty of like brick looking treatments that are pretty nice looking these days. Okay. Versions a little bit. Okay, so these are more like the building and the lot. Like you look at this, what do you think of this as a whole? Yes or no? And I should say. Awesome.
You guys wanna vote again?
It's a tech.
Everybody,
No.
and now I'll say what I was gonna say, which is, no, I don't feel bad for saying it either. Some of these I intentionally stuck in that are like maybe lean no to make us think about what we don't like. So
Mhm.
maybe what don't we like about this? Certainly for me, it's like lack of landscaping and
Right.
green space.
It's almost
for lawn.
everything.
It looks like a loading dock, you
Yeah,
know, front and center.
yeah, you see all the.
They've got the gas storage tank in the back, so it's some type of industrial facility.
I think it would be fun to eat my lunch in the middle of the parking lot, baking on the tarmac.
Yeah, that picnic table looks really exciting. That's definitely where they went for
Is
their
that where they,
approvals,
so
and
the
the town was like,
back
"You
during the
know."
day, you get to eat over here, and
Down
then
at
people
picnic
get to eat
table.
under the awning.
Yeah,
I wonder what people think about the roof line on this, because it's almost flat, but it's not quite flat. I feel,
so I think
I
like you
don't
could
like
have a roof line like that, and if you treated the building differently, you could make it look pretty cool,
Yes.
but that's not happening here.
Right.
right. And so I think that's part of what we need to think about is like, what's the difference in the treatments that makes one work and one not
Mhm.
as we move forward? Okay, what do we think about this? We can just talk about this.
That certainly has more character to it.
I don't
Yeah.
love it though.
Meh.
I don't mind it, cause it almost disappears. Which,
Because of the landscaping, you mean?
because of the landscaping, but also because of the finishes on the building.
Hmm.
I think
I just, if I were,
I'd probably give it an unsure.
at best, yeah, cause I look at that and I'm saying, boy, there's a lot going on. When we're on one floor,
Mm,
just, that's what, just keep,
that's true.
that's what that bounces out. And to me, bounces it out.
Mhm.
I think they did a nice job out here making it interesting, but
Yeah.
the building itself just. Yeah, doesn't, we have those buildings and I like to see them more. This came from one of the articles that Bruce sent.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, the
I just-
signage is awful, but the building itself from here does not look bad to me. Like it looks like there's some good glass and
think the greens,
Front of it softens it a little bit too, like.
Yeah.
Looks like From You Flowers. We already have,
A lot of wasted
What?
space.
looks like From You Flowers, we already have it in an office park.
Right,
Yes.
right, there's a little, there's certainly.
Yeah.
But I thought from the perspective when I first looked at it and thinking about what some of the alternative is of these, contractor warehousing, I thought, if we need to have contractor warehousing, I'd rather have it look something like that than, you know, some of the more.
So in terms of, because this is in like the building lot category, right?
yeah,
Like, I agree, like the building itself might look okay, it's kind of hard to tell, but in terms of the lot. I know that there's gonna have to be parking for sizable things on some of those properties. But the idea that you would have street facing, which is what this looks like street facing parking along Mariners Way. Seems like it'd be going in the wrong direction for me. You know, cause
yeah, I think that's an interesting and important idea, and so I think, here, I think when we get to the sort of development idea, we can talk, like, we'll look at that a little bit more, because I think that speaks to, like, is it a building? Are we envisioning, you know, kind of buildings that are nicely built and multiple stories, but they're kind of surrounded by parking, but have nice landscaping, that sort of thing? Or like a big cohesive development with a street wall and that sort of thing?
I always look at stuff like this and I think back to the parking issues. Because you have all that green space, fine, let's put, everybody can park in the back and we'll just have customers parking in front. Then I've got,
mhm.
I don't have, I don't have a destination for cars.
Skip that one,
UPS.
'cause I think we talked about this generally. Unless anybody wants to say anything about it. Oh. Anything?
Yeah,
It's not
neither of them are interesting to me.
same.
Let's do a vote on this. We're pretty far along, so don't worry.
Oh, I might have gotten kicked out. There we go.
No yeses.
Nobody's ready to jump in.
What are we not sure, what don't we like about this?
Looks like another Hartford healthcare.
Yeah, it totally does.
Yeah, I think that's probably some sort of similar.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah, it's Wheeler Clinic.
Yeah, it doesn't look old Saybrook. Even the Hartford Healthcare, you know, it's got the nice siding.
It looks like, yeah,
It looks like a colonial building somewhat.
Yeah, it's more sort of New England. Okay, with that, so this is, well, let's vote on this in a minute. One yes, 4 no's, 2 unsures. So this is a part of Rentschler Field. Or Rentschler in Park, I should say. And so I think this speaks to sort of having like the really big, which I think there is a place for, and if you can get an anchor like that from an economic development standpoint, I think there are some benefits to be thought of about that.
this is
I also wanted to think about the other parts of Rentschler Field, so like Rentschler Field has, I mean,
Bass Pro Shop, right?
yeah, it has Bass, or Cabela's.
Cabela's, yeah.
Cabela's, and it has obviously like the sports uses.
Sure.
So it's sort of its own destination, but it has a lot of more of these bigger it's this type of development, it's not your sort of like Blueback Square type of development, it's a different type of development, and it doesn't, to my knowledge, incorporate housing. So I think that's just something
No, that
to
was
think
a-
about when we talk about like an anchor and what that means.
That had a lot of environmental, that was,
Yeah.
Pratt Whitney, so that had
Yeah.
years of environmental
Yeah,
issues.
yeah, so that's,
Yeah, so as you probably know, the town had an opportunity for Home Depot and Lowe's and opted, no, we didn't want a big box store
Yeah.
that would displace the smaller retailers and, take up all kinds of space. And as a matter of fact, they wanted to put it where the apartments are over by the train station. They were looking to put it there, I think at one point a Lowe's, and then the Home Depot was gonna go where the big Y was. So I think what's there now is much better uses. So I think this would be frowned upon. This,
see, for me, oh, go ahead.
this magnitude.
Yeah, I mean, this is a substantial magnitude. For me, I think there is room for some of that bigger development on Mariners Way. Like, I don't think it belongs on Route 1, I don't think it belongs on Main Street. For me, I think depending on what it is and how it looks, I can, like, for example, a Cabela's, like, would we, or something along those lines, or if it were the other part of this, like, I assume that, I don't know if that's retail or if that's
Oh.
warehousing and
manufacturing.
office.
Like a showroom in the front.
Yeah, or like warehousing. I mean, Wayfair is primarily online or completely online as far as I know, so that's probably more like processing, storage.
It's funny because
Warehousing.
if it was a blue building and said IKEA, I would not have as negative a reaction as I'm having
Yeah.
to it being Wayfair for
Yeah.
some reason.
Remind me of the Jordans.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yes, yeah.
Right now I'm picturing a big neon sign
Yeah.
that says it.
And that is a thing because we can't control color, so.
Yeah, for me, I understand what you're saying, Casey, but for me, that's just too big.
Yeah, no, I agree
You
with
know,
that.
if you think about half of that.
Yes.
And then you started talking about the kinds of things you're talking about.
Yeah.
That more comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think this is East Hartford, so like that's obviously, and it's a huge plot of land, so like that's obviously a different, What about this?
So is that a
That's- I'm sorry, go ahead.
multi-tenant building, do you think, or do you think that's one major?
That is, to me, looks like one giant warehousing type facility with like,
Connecticut food share on it.
oh, it's the same building.
Building we saw
With
before.
3 barnacles on the
It's
front
on campus.
to try to make it human scale, and it's not successful in my opinion, but
Hmm.
that's just me.
So that's why I included this on
Yeah.
purpose, because when you see it up close versus when you see it like further back, somehow like your feelings about it are maybe a little bit different.
Mhm.
It is, I think, in my opinion, it's a nice looking building. It does a good job of, in real life, having seen it in real life, it does a good job of. I think it's as nice as it can be for what it is. If you have a really big warehouse, when you experience it in person, it's, and I think a big part of that has to do also with what we talked about, like there's not really parking in the front. There's
Yeah, I
just
will
one
say I
single
do
row of
like
parking
that.
and a ton of landscaping in the front.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, behind it, you've still got your warehouse, and I think that's part of the question is, are those buildings okay with us and at what level? All right, this is the last section, so is everybody okay? Because I know we're a little past our time.
Doing great, thanks.
Okay, so these are more like developments, different development concepts. So this is more your either like big buildings, research and I mean, depending on. It's not clear how big these buildings are. because we don't know how big of a plot of land we're looking at, they look pretty big, but more the idea is the development type here. Separate buildings, these are more single story, industrial, light industrial, probably not as tech oriented type buildings.
Almost looks like what's there. Except on the right side, I mean, not on the left.
Mhm.
Never gonna talk about.
It's not landscaped like that, but
It's a lot of scale at one story.
Right.
Yeah,
and then the buildings on the left, those look massive.
yeah.
With all the cars there, like they're auto plants or something.
We feel any better about that? We're not real.
Not really.
No.
I mean,
No, this is a totally
That's
different.
another Nashville picture.
Yeah, and that's a totally, so this is different, really different type of development. How do we feel about that, Mariners
But
Way?
I think if a direction at Mariners Way is a place to live, work and play, then that's the type of development you want.
yeah, I like this. But I can't picture the world where it comes to be. You know?
And that's kind of how like, I love
Yeah.
this. I don't envision that as fitting into Mariners Way. And I think they're not, people love these developments, they're fun, they're beautiful, they're exciting, but I think there's like there's a place for everything. And so to me, I have a hard time envisioning this being the fit there.
You would need a very ambitious developer. to-
Yeah, I mean,
And I
Do something.
I worry about detracting from Main Street,
Right, I was just gonna say,
That's
there's a
my
lot of
biggest-
detail there.
right?
yeah, like I can almost imagine though, like you could kind of imagine if like the Westbrook outlets reconfigured to be something like this.
Mhm.
And,
It will be,
right, really? I
yeah,
mean,
that's what they're doing.
really?
50 acres, totally redeveloped, be similar.
Huh.
Housing, retail,
Yeah,
commercial, all of it.
so and I mean, like right now, people don't really feel like the outlets in Westbrook are taking away from business on Main Street, I don't think, or do people feel that way? Did people feel that way when they went in?
In my opinion, Westbrook doesn't really have the same type of.
Right, they don't have a
Main
Main
Street we
Street.
have. I mean, to me, I think part of it is the outlets tend to be a specific, they're more like chains, they're
Mhm.
more, so it's sort of a separate thing from what we have.
Yeah, I mean, then that's sort of, I guess what I'm seeing here is more like big companies that we aren't really having on Main Street, so maybe, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't be detrimental to Main Street. I don't know.
I just, again, I hear what people are saying, I'm thinking, I'm going back, thinking about that destination, what is
Yeah.
that thing? What's that place, what's that draw? Again, I'm not saying, this is not my first choice, I've already seen some other things that I like a lot better than this.
I'm not sure that everywhere in town has to be a destination. That's kind of. how-
Yeah, I'm going back to the study, which says,
Yeah,
what's the hook? What's the
You know,
draw?
an anchor,
That's all I'm thinking about, and I don't think it's any one of the, you know. I don't think it's. Any of the bigger one-story. Any of that, I think it wants to be. Something that that the whole town gets to enjoy.
A little more density and having people.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think Old Saybrook wants to continue to be able to call itself a small town. And that depending on what you're going for can really tip that balance. I mean, at the other end of town, the balance is pretty tipped already, you know what I mean? So if you want to think we have to think about, you know, where the line goes between like losing that character personally.
Well, or can we use Mariners Way as a complement to Main Street? So you already have that small town kind of concept with Main Street. Is there a way that that flavor can get extended to where we are on Mariners Way? But not necessarily retail, restaurants, more, you know, some of those buildings with the, you know, the light industrial that has the, you know, the big white glass windows or all of that. I mean, that to me still brings character, but keeps the scale at a small town scale.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else about this?
Mm,
And this is the same thing, right, Doug, but I think just a different
Different angle.
angle and a different building. I think this is probably wasn't. Oh, we saw that before, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the Nike swoosh.
Nike.
So that's a big building, but we liked it from like here down. This one.
Yeah, and I liked it, you know, it does look to be office space, you're right, Doug, up above.
Yeah.
But if that were, you know, if that were housing up above, you know, a floor or two of housing.
Is that the shot of Blueback?
What's that?
Is that Blueback?
No,
No,
this
that's
is,
the one in Nashville.
this is,
Blue.
Yeah, it's interesting because
Oh,
Yeah, and like I said, it's just two blocks, a street this way and this way, a block and a block. That's it, just a right angle, all of this. I mean, they really just packed it in and you walk through it, it's like a fun place, there's restaurants everywhere and shopping and people sitting down and.
So you've been here in Nashville to this?
this is Doug's picture.
Yeah, I was
Your
just
actual
there this
post.
spring and I shot these pictures to Bruno.
So I've never been to Nashville, but my understanding is that there's like an old Main Street and a new Main Street, right? Like there's like an original
Yeah, so there's.
downtown and.
I don't know all of it,
Is
but
it-
there's Broadway where you have like 100 country bars. And this is right off Broadway, literally just a right angle
Mm,
to Broadway. So we just kind of said, hey, let's check this out. Walk 2 streets and then you take another right and you're back on Broadway. So
I
they
mean, it's-
really niched it in there, nice.
Interesting to think about, like in terms of us with Main Street versus Mariners Way.
Mhm.
Having like this other, yeah, like, I don't know, I mean, Nashville, the size of Nashville and the amount of
Yeah.
people that are going to Nashville, it's like there's enough to go around. I don't know if there's enough to go around.
You know where this would be good, smaller scale,
Yeah.
across from the fire station on Main Street, you've got the Essex.
Mhm.
And then as you go towards Saybrook Point, that whole corner there, all those properties are for sale. Like there's like
Mhm.
3, it's the whole corner is for sale. You could put a right angle right in there, just like this, and,
Mhm.
but you'd
There was a
have to
develop-
demolish
Who
everything.
was interested in that whole thing, but they want like $2 million for
Yeah.
those buildings. It's cost prohibitive to then completely revamp them in the way they need to be revamped. So it's tough.
And if we did something small scale like this, I would envision it towards the Amtrak bridge and, you know, where the Siam restaurant is in there. And then we get into the industrial in the center, and then we get maybe into like Glade and residential. So this would be clearly be on the western end, but much smaller scale. But I like the pedestrian way.
yeah, it's also sort of interesting to think about Blueback in terms of, so I grew up in West Hartford before Blueback. And there was like the West Hartford Center, and it actually has a pretty different vibe, at least in my mind, having grown up there, than Blueback does. Blueback is a lot denser and shinier and newer, and I think the center is more of like an old, has the more like old Main Street feel to it, although very, you know, it's been renovated and you
But you have the Main Street, then you have Govan, you have LaSalle,
But,
then you
right,
have the connectivity down to Trout Brook, which is what Blueback did, which kind of opened it up.
right, right.
Just kind of what we're doing here, that's why the Blueback came right in line.
Well, that's what, it's sort of interesting how they interact,
Yeah.
because they are like directly connected, kind of like,
Yeah.
that's what.
That's what you're describing.
But when I go up there, I go to Blueback, I don't go to the Main Street you're talking about, I've never even been there.
It's interesting.
Exactly,
I
that's
don't
the
think-
problem.
I don't like,
Yeah.
having grown up there, it's. I think in general, it's the same with outdoor malls, like outdoor malls are like kind of the thing now. That model, I don't know, I like the old feeling, I like the like
Me too.
authentic like.
Oh,
old
but
feeling.
if I look at that and just go up 5 stories and that one of those buildings is, there's the first floor is a restaurant or whatever.
Yeah,
Then the second, third, fourth, and fifth floor are all Hartford Hospital specialty offices.
yeah,
They got the whole corner.
yeah,
I mean, there's nowhere that they could have done that on Main Street or LaSalle.
right, yeah. No, yeah, and then there's, I mean, it's, people love it, like people, and it's certainly, I mean, what it was and.
Yeah.
What it is, people, no, and I shouldn't, people absolutely love it, I just have like a personal preference towards.
So,
But it's very well done and it's a great development. Alright, so this is back to sort of the other thing, I think we've talked about that enough. This one's kind of hard to see, but it's sort of in between, like the Tennessee versus. Just getting like kind of your stock warehousing buildings.
Mhm.
What do we think about this?
Yeah, I like that. I like anything that has that much glass.
but I can see that, that's you, I was just gonna say that. Is, what, Bruce, what you were talking about, I could see that as that part of that Newington Town Center feel,
Mhm.
it would look like that.
Mhm.
And like we talked about, they've been trying for that for 30 years, 40, whatever it is, it's ridiculous. Cause they don't have a Main Street.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make one, they're trying to make one for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's the next slide, right, is that it?
This is, I'm trying to remember where this one
This is the Newington slide, you're absolutely
is. Is
right.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's your, again, mixed use, same thing, Bruce, you're talking about,
Right.
right?
Right, mixed use, green space. I like the idea that they had that amphitheater built in, so there's just a lot of self-containment, but activity going on.
Yeah, it feels like the right kind, is that the theater there? Not this one. It feels like a good density, I feel like.
Right, right.
There's a little bit of everything too. There's kind of room for everything.
Well, I love that, oh, sorry, can you go back for a second? Like, the idea that, is that Main Street, like where the Main Street would be Mariners Way, and this is something that goes back versus
Yeah.
the idea that like
Right.
where Market Square is would be Mariners Way, and you'd see it like from the side.
So
So
then
I
again,
kind
you get to take an
Yeah.
existing curb cut, you don't have
Yeah,
to do what we've
yeah.
been talking about, you don't keep going all the way on, you have an existing curb cut, and you go
Yeah.
around the back and you have, further development in the back of it.
Yeah,
It's a great way to access the back.
Yeah.
think of Lowry Place as a Rome tree.
Right,
Yeah. This is also that, I believe.
Mhm.
And it's a pretty substantial scale, but it works.
Yeah.
What about this?
Yeah, so it's residential up on the upper levels, looks like.
Ground floor retail and.
Mhm.
The scale looks big, but overall, I like it.
Do we like this feel architecturally versus the more?
I don't know, the dormers make it kind of intense, but
That's on somebody's review. Okay.
yeah, there's pros and cons.
Almost.
I like that.
Yeah, I like the landscaping, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I like the materials on, the, you know, the hardscaping materials, I like the
Mhm.
landscaping, I like the two-story building, the way it's detailed.
Actually, the other thing this reminds me of, is especially as we get in the back and look at what development will be in the back, would be not to make this Manhattan.
Yeah.
Streets run this way, avenues run this
Mhm.
way, and to have soft, soft, curves and roads and again, very pedestrian friendly and.
Should we? Right, so that's the,
Interesting.
that's the amphitheater that they have.
You know,
Let's do a vote on this. For future.
oops.
And I'll say, I voted yes, but. And the but is, it's one story too high for me.
Okay.
And when we get back to the main
Yeah.
picture,
In the back.
yeah,
I voted no because, maybe a no, but mostly because I do think of an amphitheater as something that would take away the performances that we have on Main Street or have at the beach, like to, you know, I don't want another place for that necessarily. At least not an outdoor one, maybe an indoor one.
yeah, but let me, I mean, I'll throw another idea at you, which is. Whether it's an amphitheater space or some kind of outdoor gathering, one of the images I have in my mind, and I hope nobody in this room I'm saying negative about, but there are places nearby that have really active farmers markets. And to be able to have a space within, this development that allowed for, a much more significant farmers market and other similar gatherings. I know we don't like having food trucks in this town, but a food truck festival, those kinds of things. And I'm not sure exactly ultimately what's gonna happen down at the point, at the park at the point. And so we don't wanna be too much in conflict with what might be programmed for that. But this, I think Mariner's Way gives us the opportunity for that kind of programmable outdoor space.
I think that Cedar Point is gonna end up to be more of a passive place for a number of reasons. I wonder if you could have a more significant farmer's market in the Main Street Connection Park. It's on grass though, and it's not right on Main Street, but As an
You mean
alternative, right?
beyond pickleball?
yeah.
Well, it's not very well utilized, so that would be it would get people over there so they could even see that it's there.
I was really interested in buying Mike Cronin's old property.
Yeah,
And like sort of adding on to the town campus and then eventually too, if is it Verizon or whatever
Yeah.
the Frontier, if
Right.
that ever came up, then we would have everything and we could have like a really nice like area where you could have a farmer's market or you could have pop-ups or you could have like a little band playing one night or something like that.
Too big. I think we've got
yeah.
that. Also too big.
Mhm.
Plus, I don't like it standing alone.
Yeah. I put this in, this is actually in Meriden, but it's along their like research parkway type area, but they created a like they're creating like a multi-use pedestrian path. So I just thought it was interesting because you can kind of see it interwoven with like the kind of Mariners Way type uses in the background, but I think it's still really a really. I don't know, I thought it was a useful
Yeah,
picture.
it's a little dense, but it's, it's close. I
I
like,
like the layout, kind of like the format of the buildings, kind of out at the road, and then you have that internal space.
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
Where's the parking now?
It's gonna be in the back. But
I can see these down towards Glade-View, that end.
I think that's what it is in the back.
Scale
You
it.
think maybe it's gonna be like common space, but I think it might be parking.
Hmm.
The trees, I don't know, it's hard to tell.
Does it feel too aggressive out at the road?
Yeah, I think the, kind of, went 5 stories right on top of the road seems a little much.
Yeah, it looks
Like
like
a wall.
Cambridge.
Yeah.
It's a city. I think and if we're, concerned about some of the other scale, I think that's too much.
This is Doug's walkway.
Let's vote on this.
This one, let's do one more vote on this one.
This reminds me of the waterfront Savannah.
No nos.
Anybody want to say anything?
I like the scale of it. I said before, I really like the glass. I like the idea of apartments having balconies
Mhm.
versus just having, just a wall. I like think the way in which that breaks up the wall. So,
To me, this feels like it could be a lot of different sizes and it would still work, so it doesn't have to be the size of like a huge block to
Mhm.
work, like it could be. Spread out.
Well, it's got almost like a scattered site,
Yeah.
give it a scattered site look, but then again, it could be, which is what, frankly, Crossings is, I mean, that's just a big block retail.
Yeah, yeah,
Looks like a,
yes.
but this is not, I mean, this would be very functional, I think. Especially with Doug's sailboat there.
That's right. I think this is just another, more like a site plan concept. This is actually Blueback,
yeah,
and this is Blueback also. Have we talked about that, or we went?
Well, I guess, and again, I liked it, I brought it up because I thought it was again,
Yeah,
I think it's extremely well done, one.
Yeah.
Two is, again, it is a place to live, work and play, and it joins in with. And they, did, I think, a decent job of connecting,
yeah.
have the three, there's Trout Brook. There's, these two streets, there's Maine, there's LaSalle, there's, really connects. The downtown,
And since Blueback is lower, it's not like it's like
exactly,
towering over the center. And it looks really nice when you get in there, it feels right when you get in.
yeah, but Main Street looks like 2 stories.
Yeah.
It looks like 2 or 3 stories, that's it.
What's the history of the development of Blueback? Like, how many developers did it? Do you know? Like,
The town was involved, the town had a big involvement in it.
town on the land.
the town
Yes.
on the land?
Yeah.
All of it?
And the
Yeah.
town still runs the parking garages, that was part of the deal, I believe.
And it was one developer.
Yeah.
I mean, think that's unlikely for us, right?
Right.
I mean,
Well,
so
it's unlikely for us to have it, if you will go back to the site plan, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we can't, that's not gonna fit over there.
right,
But if you take, just look at the images and there could be pieces that would fit obviously over there. Maybe 20%, 25% couldn't fit, but you could not do that whole development.
right.
Well, and I think that's part of the question is, do we want to designate almost like an area that's a separate zone or a subzone that's geared towards this type of development versus some other things, or are we okay with, you might get this on one piece, but something sort of different on the next, like we need to think about that a
This,
little bit.
this still goes back to my idea of what's the destination, what's the thing that's the draw, this could be that, this type of development could be that.
Yeah, and you're right, Casey, it raises the subzone question.
The catalyst project.
That's the one, thank you.
All right, we're finally done. Thank you all for your patience. So the two things that we can kind of take away from this, I think we talked about it plenty, but is what stuck out to you that you liked or disliked on the buildings, on the lots and the overall developments, and then how does the city thinking about land uses or not? So I think from here, I mean, I'm not sure where kind of, I think the interesting thing is we're kind of torn, right? Like a lot of them were evenly split, yeses and nos. So what I can do is I can send this out to everybody and include the slides that show the poll results for the ones that we took the polls on, and then maybe I think next at when whether it's next meeting, I mean, Bruce, that's obviously up to you, but I think we may have to start kind of choosing a direction to go in.
Yeah, and I think we should, that's a good segue into when should we meet again and kind of walk in the room thinking maybe not in 2 weeks, but given this discussion, keeping it fresh, I'd suggest we come back in 2 weeks. We may not have much else to talk about, but we can just really focus on this and take this, drill down a little bit more on these and see whether we can begin to get some, for those that were at, 3 and 3, what does somebody like, what do you not like, where's some consensus and begin to pull those things together.
And I think there's an interesting, like, there might be like, I like this, or I like this, or like, I'm okay with this, or I'm okay with this, even though they're totally different. And I'm almost wondering, just as we were talking, like, maybe kind of like you were saying, there's a meeting in the middle to some degree where maybe some of the uses are more flexible, especially as we get further away from the road, like everybody's been saying, but we still have a lot of the look that we like.
Mhm.
And then maybe as you get even further away, or as you get towards, if there's Doug's walkway, we transition back into a certain kind of look.
Mhm. No, this is great. Thank you so much for.
Well, thank you all for going way over time.
Nice job facilitated.
Great effort, thank you.
Yeah, so you'll send this out.
Yeah.
And then are people available in 2 weeks and we'll get.
I am not.
I have a work meeting, but I could, if we go over again, I can make it for the end. But I wouldn't probably make it at 6:30.
Or you've got that whole week.
I'm off Thursday, Friday, Saturday vacation or out of town.
That's 18th.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it would be the 25th.
No, I'm out of state the 18th now that I think about it. Oh wait, no, we're talking June 25th, right? Are we talking?
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Is everybody for when would you be able to make it, do you think?
So on the 25th, I mean, it would be tough, I probably would. I mean, maybe I'd get here at 7 and. Yeah, I could probably get here at 7:15 or something on the 25th, on the 18th. If we were trying to do it next week, is that an option or are we not trying to do that
I think we should digest this a little bit
longer?
more.
Yeah,
Maybe we just make the 25th, why don't we start that at 7?
We can do that.
Give you a chance to just break the speed record a little bit.
say at 7.
Tracy, you got it at 7 on the 25th?
Yep.
Okay, good idea. Let's do that. Then if you're late, you're only a little bit late.
Yeah.
Jennifer, that good for you?
Okay, please.
Okay. Looking forward to getting the stuff out. Any other comments people have for tonight?
The only other comment I have, I don't know if you sent it out, but I had forwarded you that municipal tax abatements online seminar. It's next Tuesday.
Oh. No, I didn't send it out. I will.
I mean, I can forward it to the team, but it's a Rivercog municipal tax abatements lunch and learn webinar. So that's kind of like a future step, but it's an educational opportunity.
I signed up for it, but I have a photo shoot for the Connecticut Port Authority at the same time, probably, but at least one person from the EDC is gonna attend, I know that.
So if you could send it out to everybody.
Okay,
Let's see.
yep, I will.
I think I'm in Providence. I think that's when we kind of looked at it and just moved on.
Oh, I know, it's easy to do inbox.
Within 1 minute.
All right, I take a motion to adjourn.
So,
Is there a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.